Alright. Okay, in today's video, I am just going to be talking about the past decade since we're coming up to New Year's Eve. It's just going to be a very relaxed video while I eat some pancakes. I'm just going to talk about the things that I liked during the 2010s. I'm not going to be going in depth to things, but just like randomly naming things that I thought were good. Be it film, music. I don't really read books too much, but let's start off. Gone Girl, I don't know when that came out, but that was a really good book I read. And it's probably my favourite book of the 2010s. And as I said, I don't really read much books, like fiction or stuff like that. So let's move on to movies. Christopher Nolan certainly put out a lot of amazing films during this decade. Starting off with 2010's Inception. I absolutely loved this film when it came out, and it's because you didn't know what the hell it was going to be about, so it was a massive surprise when you saw it. And it was one of those films you probably enjoyed it more on the second viewing, which I did. Because on that occasion I saw it in IMAX, and I had to go to Melbourne to watch it, but because we don't have an IMAX where I live, I didn't go for that reason. It was just happened to be playing, but IMAX is truly the way to watch films. And it became a big part of this decade. Like 3D, they thought that was going to be huge. Because Avatar literally dominated the opening of this decade. It was the biggest, you could not escape that film. I don't like it that much. And I don't really know what the hell they're going to do with the sequels. But it was an experience. There's so many good films this decade. For instance, like this year, my standout films were The Irishman, which was absolutely brilliant. Seeing Pacino and De Niro in an actual decent film. They haven't been in a decent film for so long, and seeing them at the top, return to the top of their game, was just beautiful. And Joe Pesci, how could we not forget him, the amazing Joe Pesci. And even Raymond. Like, I don't like Raymond. I don't love Raymond. But he was really amazing in this film. There weren't really many sitcoms that I liked during this decade. I don't watch sitcoms anymore. I still watch Seinfeld. Curb Your Enthusiasm, of course, is one of my favourites. My favourite season is when he goes to New York and he basically lies to someone that he's going there just to get out of going to some event, and then every time he runs into this guy he has to make up, oh, I'm going back to New York from... It's just such a good show. I'm sure there's many I'm missing out on. I'm just going to name the things that come to my head. Twin Peaks, of course. The Return. That was an amazing television experience. I got into Tim and Eric. Tim Heidecker is one of the funniest people on this planet, and he makes my day so much better. I listen to his podcast and it's like the funniest thing. One of the funniest people around. And Doug Pound, you might not know who I'm talking about, but just like look them up. They're really good, very funny. Music. I didn't listen to much from this decade, but when I do, I listen to like independent, smaller bands, artists. I like a lot of that new retro wave. I was so into that. And that was all made this decade. It sounds like it's from the 80s, but it was made this decade. I guess, what am I talking about this decade? Is when I started this channel. This weird channel. But I had no idea what I was doing with it in the beginning. And now it's become a part of my life. And I'm very glad for it. Like, my recommendation to you, if you're feeling down or like you're irritated because you have all these creative ideas and you can't get them out on paper, just fool around and make videos of whatever and just edit them, clean them up, and people will watch them. Doesn't matter who watches them. You might not get many views. Well, doesn't matter, it's out there. It's a big reason why I started this channel, was a form of catharsis. Is that how you say it? I was very, very depressed and angry, and I have been through a lot of this decade. Like, had a lot of problems with anxiety and depression, and a lot of it was down to circumstances and stuff. But you become stronger as a person, and the main thing, I learnt a lot to appreciate life, because I had kind of a health scare in 2017, but it was a build-up from a lot of misery, and I said I wasn't going to talk about sad stuff, but here I am. But it's life. Life is sad. What I'm doing now is just like, it's like a form of therapy. I wouldn't be talking about this stuff if if I didn't have like a camera here recording it. It's good to record your thoughts and ideas. Very important. Because I feel once they're out there, once they're in another form, they're not running around in your head. I find that you don't think as much about them. That's why it's very important dealing with stress and such. You need to find a way to manage it. And I guess this decade has seen a lot of improvement in mental health. Because I think everyone will experience some form of depression in their lives. It's when life isn't just peachy all the time. There are highs and lows, and there's no getting around that. It's just that you become better as you get older. You learn to deal with those problems better. And you won't let people talk to you and treat you in a certain way anymore. You have to learn that, and you become and what you say to them might be hurtful and blunt, but that's how you really feel. And if someone is hurting you in any way, you just have to give them that same treatment back. And they say 2 wrongs don't make a right. Sometimes that's the only way to get through to certain people, is by reflecting themselves. I honestly can't believe the dedication to the art that this piece displays. It is extraordinary that someone could convey their emotions in this way. It talks about the rise of the pursuit for materialism is a pathetic excuse in this modern world. Okay, well, merely it is just a black smudge across a white canvas, but what is art, really? And these are the kinds of things that I like to talk about on my channel. What is considered art? This, if someone said this was one of the works of Jackson Pollock, it would be going for like $100 million. Or it could be by someone who accidentally spilled paint on the canvas. I guess the favourite things of this decade for me was my growing appreciation for art, and I went to the theatre a lot. Things that I normally wouldn't have done, go to art galleries, and I really started to appreciate art and the things the artists go through, that telling their stories and getting things onto the canvas. And I think that's, as I was saying before, it's very helpful in dealing with depression or whatever problems you may be having in your life. It's good to get them down and record them. That's what I learned this decade, because before I was very agitated all the time and I didn't know why, and it was because I was trying to write songs, but I am not a very good songwriter at all, and I was getting very frustrated and bored with it, and I would like sit at a piano and try and write a song, but it just wasn't for me. So I went back to drawing, which is a big thing, part of me, and just, whatever. Just doesn't have to be good, it just has to be, just getting it out is great. So that's what I learnt in this decade, and really focused on. And also seeing the world, getting out of your comfort zone and seeing other places is really what it's really led to a growth in myself, and knowing who I am as a person, seeing the world helps do that. I'd really like to go to more disadvantaged countries, but things cost money, and I'd like to travel more. That's what I hope to do in the next decade. You got to make plans and stuff, a lot of improvements. And if you would ever like to donate to this channel to help me out, I'd be more than appreciative. My GoFundMe doesn't really get much attention, so I might put a PayPal link, just like donations, whatever, because my PC is really starting to get up there in years, and it's not going to help me much anymore. So if you want to say thank you for this almost decade-long participation in ASMR, I'd be really appreciative. Have a safe one, guys.